Hey, all out there. I'm here with my brother Jim and Uncle Jim to many for all these years. Amazing musician, songwriter, children's artist, and fellow choral reefer, and brother, of course. And the brother part had us both sitting here scratching our heads for trying to remember how all this history came together. The reason we're talking is we have Stars and Promises, The Unexpected Gift coming up. December 3rd, 4th, 5th are the initial premiere concerts. And we started talking about how this all came together, Jim. And the first thing we had to dig up, as in buried treasure, was the fact that we were asked by my pastor friend, Ron Glusenkamp, to write a song for a Christmas Eve service. Well, I ended up getting sick as a dog and was about ready to call him back and got inspired though. Words just kept coming to my head and I got up out of my sick bed and ran into my music room and Sing Joy kind of fell out of the sky as a gift and went back and played that. And, sooner or later, Jim and I were always playing together in the Buffett thing. And of course we were very close. And so we started talking and song by song this built, right, Jim? And
Yeah. Well, first of all, Sing Joy is really what started it. And I love that story that you were sick as a dog and you felt terrible. Isn't it weird? That's what, that one of the top questions I get asked is, how do you write songs? Like, where do songs come from? What's going on with that? And I don't know about you, Pete, but for me, it's different every time. Sometimes the song just lands and sometimes it's just a little piece, like a little piece of the puzzle. But what I remember is you wrote Sing Joy, which was just a stunningly beautiful song. And Ron Glusenkamp was the work you've done with him is just amazing back when we were in St. Louis. And what I remember is we started doing a couple concerts here and there at local churches around St. Louis. And I'm not sure what order the songs came in, but I remember being blown away when you brought in Christmas Overture because I'm like, suddenly Pete's like a symphony arranger. When did that happen? It was like from being a great guitarist, singer, songwriter to suddenly you're writing symphony. I'm like, what? And I remember us recording that at Jay Oliver's studio. I'm pretty sure in St. Louis, and we set up some string players in his basement, and we mixed it. Am I remembering that right?
yeah, well, I have to give a shout out. Some of you will remember Jay Oliver as just genius keyboard player,
Yeah,
producer, music maker, who was
ridiculous.
part of our close cadre of friends in St. Louis, and he was hugely instrumental in us getting a record deal.
Absolutely. And Jay actually had a big part in Off to See the Lizard. Jay and Roger did a bunch of co-writing during that time. And Jay produced a lot of kind of that background sound. Jay for a little while was kind of the invisible member of PM, and continued in the early years when we were with Jimmy. But yeah, I mean, what I remember, it's funny after the years, just because I don't remember it doesn't mean it didn't happen, so it's tricky to keep track. But I remember us doing the string tracks at Jay's and then mixing. I had just moved down to Nashville. That was shortly after you did Romeo's Garage. We did that at Mac's studio. Um,
Yeah, so we recorded that and then finished. We were in the process of all moving to Nashville. Jim moved in '98, I moved in '99, and I think in 2000 it was in the official release. But it's funny because we were out with Jimmy Buffett during the summers, and I can still remember working on Christmas Overture in Charleston in the hotel room. And it was neat though. And what I love about working with Jim is that I knew sonically and everything and musically everything was going to be all right. And when you can rest easy knowing that, it makes the creative process very simple.
wow.
I mean, it really frees you up to know is it possible to get strings? Is it possible to get a choir? Well, yeah, of course it's possible because Jim's mixing it.
Well, hey, back at you. I mean, thanks, Pete, for that. I was laughing. Remember recording "Ring Out the Bells" in Las Vegas.
gosh.
The casino was downstairs, right? So we got all the slot machines going ding, 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 ding.
My God.
We're singing "Ring Out the Bells," but it's interesting how our music path has developed, Pete. If you think about it, because we've worked kind of exclusively together with you, me, and Raj, and then of course the Reefers, and we do work with other musicians, but and we love working with other musicians. But what I remember, and thank you for your kind words towards me, and I want to say back at you, you and Raj and I, and then now with the Reefers also, we really have kind of this unspoken understanding that you almost don't have to say anything. You just kind of look at each other, or, Mac will have these little subtle, click is on track 8, which means get with the click. Mac is so subtle about his communication, but when we were making those albums, it's really, I didn't appreciate at the time how what's the word, how effortless our co-creative process was, that you just, we just hear things the same way in the same colors, and that's something that a lot of musicians, don't get to experience, where you can just kind of think something and it just happens. So
Yeah, it's been
huge pleasure.
really been a blessing. And this recorded work, which was Stars and Promises, opened a door for live work and for road work. And that road work was super slipshod, kind of just as it came in from friends. And I have to give the shout out to Jimmy Buffett as well, because through Jimmy, of course, with tens of thousands of fans and over 1 million people every summer, we got introduced to a lot of you all out there. And you heard about the Christmas stuff, and many people love Christmas music. So people like Lisa Alvey would invite us to Chicago to play. Or we'd go to Tulsa, and Howard and Christine Booz would say, come on, we want to do a concert too. And back then it was just getting into Lucky, our blue Dodge van, and hiring a string section. Mike Davis at Smoke Rise Baptist in Atlanta. And remember when Jimmy heard we were playing.
Jimmy was in Atlanta right here.
Our Christmas show, and he goes, well, I heard you Mayor Boys were playing a Christmas show. I was going to come, but man, it was in a church. And I thought, I'm not going to do that. It's like, I'm not going to go to church just to hear those.
Well, what I remember him saying, Jimmy, well, I love him, man. He was in Atlanta, I guess, doing some business, and he heard we were in town playing a show, and he was like, I'm going to go and jam with them. And then he found out it was a Christmas show, and he said, they're going to convert my ass.
Yeah.
Which of course we would never want to do that. That's, by the way, that's one of the things I've always loved about your Christmas show or holiday show, Pete, is that it's very inclusive. And I know we've gotten emails and communications from folks who, may not share our traditions or beliefs. And it's wonderful that, you've really written it to be inclusive. And I have to give you a huge shout out for that, because, so much music out there can be exclusive in different ways. And I love it that it's inclusive.
Well, it's kind of like, Peace on Earth, I think was born to be more than our own zip code,
Right. Peace on earth for me, but not for you. That's actually not the way it was. Right.
Yeah. And so Jim, that gave, so we started touring around a little bit, and then thought, well, it's so much fun playing with strings live. We need to record this. So
yes,
two of you out there were at the Nashville Blair School of Music concert. I think I lost half my hair that night trying to keep everything together. And it was an amazing night because Tina Gullickson.
Oh, yeah.
And we got to give a shout out to our Scott Bryan, an amazing musician, singer, percussionist, dear friend. Vince Farvel, string section and all. Jim was there. Mac showed up to play harmony. So many of you were there. And what happened that night was pretty amazing, because we went in with very little sleep, kind of unrehearsed. And so if something sucked in the song, we just go, do you all want to hear that again? And everybody go, yeah, and we just play the story of Christmas again and try to get it right. I mean, back then it was kind of like, I guess this is really going to be live, you know?
Well, and I remember we had, I think Dan Curry came down and engineered that from St. Louis and recorded that. And Dan was always an amazing, incredible engineer. And he, always could make a live gig sound just like a CD. So a big
Yeah.
shout out to Dan and his good work on that CD. It was awesome.
Yeah, and little by little, the family kept growing with Chris Walters eventually coming on board with piano, with Maggie Estes. Many of you know Maggie, and we've had some just phenomenal, her of course, and then some phenomenal violin players. And Mark Holland, of course, was on every single gig. But in terms of crew, Jim, a huge change for us is when Chad Stewart of Stewart Sound came on board. We had
Chad Stewart. Yeah.
Black Mountain, North Carolina gigs.
Stone Mountain. Yeah.
Well, it was actually originally, it was at Stone Mountain, but we played a rock and roll gig. And I'm pretty sure you were on that maybe in
Hmm.
Black Mountain. And he was the guy running the sound. And he came up,
Oh.
he's like, you guys are really good, man. If you ever need an engineer, I'm coming on the road in a second with you. So we called Chad when it was time to do that. And he just killed it. And we've been a family together ever since. So
Yeah, Chad's amazing, and it's incredible. I mean, first of all, lots of thoughts, real quick. I love how friends of Jimmy and Parrot Heads and stuff over the years, all the incredible people, and there's this real sense of just dive in and do it. We're just going to do it. Let's just do a Christmas show, and we're just going to do it. And it takes so much work. I'm remembering the Schumans, right?
oh,
The Schumans up in New Hampshire. Y'all were amazing. And by the way, we know we're forgetting a lot of important people, so just forgive us, please. I remember Emily Randall, meeting Emily in Lamont with the Alvies and Sam and Missy Forsley. So many incredible people. And I think the band in the beginning was Scott Bryan, and Mark Holland, and you and me. And then we would get string players, I
Lyle
think.
and Scott,
Yeah.
excuse me, Roger played a few as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, it's been an amazing ride and just kept growing all these years. Erie, Pennsylvania, too. Shout out to the Merrimans and Jack Belchick and
Oh,
Heidi,
yeah.
just dear friends who have year after year kind of partnered with us and doing this with Beth Estes booking and a crew of Terry Lederer and with Little Fly. It's just been an amazing team. So,
Rick Fontana, New
oh yeah,
Jersey, Somerville. I
on
mean, come on. Hello.
Somerville up here on the 11th. We're looking forward to that. So they've got a special show for first responders. So they're one of the hosts of this live stream, The Unexpected Gifts. So Jim, can you tell me a little bit about for you this year, what has been an unexpected gift? I mean, like what,
Oh.
I mean, it's been a
Hmm.
kind of a pancake of a year closing down on us and in quarantine and all really tough stuff. I mean, now we just heard a quarter of a million people
Oh,
uh,
man.
actually passed away. I mean, so lots of challenges, but what can you, I've been amazed at some of the stuff that has surfaced that has really been um, heartwarming, life
Yeah.
changing, and tied me again to family, friends, loved ones.
Well, to me, the biggest unexpected gift is in a dear friend of mine, Beverly Schoch, from the St. Petersburg, Florida, Tampa area. She posted something on Facebook shortly after COVID, and it went something like, "When this is all done, all of us are going to run to each other and embrace. Every restaurant will be packed. Every school will be full of kids who can't wait to go back to school. To me, the biggest unexpected gift of this incredibly challenging year is how much I'm going to appreciate. I mean, I always appreciate life, but it's gone like times 10 now. I can't wait. I miss my family so much. I miss touring so much. I miss the band members and Jimmy, all the fans. And, I mean, our life is already incredible. But not if, when we go back to, or go forward to a new way of being together, um, it's
Yeah.
going to be incredible. And I think to me, the unexpected gift is just appreciating what I already have to
Hmm.
such a higher degree.
I'll second that. I think that's really beautiful. And I'm going to make kind of a guesstimate prediction that everyone out there listening has that someone who has reminded you that hope and love are bigger than our ability to conjure them or control them. Uh, we always have something to grow into with them. They're always larger and waiting for us to step into the larger room. And you know that with sense of humor and positive attitude, Jim, you and I have been with Jimmy for all these years. And one of the things that just befuddles me and delights me is his ability to constantly see, well, hey, no, it's not going to be April. It's not going to, it's like looking at this year, which has been
Yeah,
bone dry with touring, but he's
yeah,
still just like, well, we're hoping by so and so we're going to get back out there to see all these people. It's always keeping that bright, that
he's
sunny side of the street.
absolutely, he's amazing at that. And the song that comes to mind is "Take the Weather with You," and I think that with all the wackiness that has happened this year in all different sectors, and I don't need to go into any of them because we all know it's just been a wacky year. But I think it's important to remember that we actually do create our weather. That we really one of the things we teach little kids with the I'm For You program, and it relates to Jimmy's Take the Weather with You, is that we tell little kids, you have a sky in your tummy.
Mhm.
You've got a sky in your tummy, and let's talk about how that sky is doing today. And it gives them a real safe way of talking about, is it stormy and angry, is it clear and sunny, is it cloudy and kind of sad? And it's okay, but just remember that weather. And I also just, and I want to be careful not to, I could talk for hours, but you said a lot when you said that. I can't remember all the words you cited, but hope, joy, peace, these are things that are bigger than any of us. And that's really important to remember, because sometimes my perspective, as just because I'm human, I know I'm always missing some part of the picture. It's like the sky. It's way bigger than what I can see at any one moment. And maybe I'm looking at that part of the sky, and maybe you're looking at that part of the sky. We're seeing two different parts of this vast sky, and I think that's
Well, and that's a beautiful thing, Jim. And we need each other to see, like the old
that's right.
the blind man and the elephant. They're each going to the room. What is an elephant? An elephant is a long, bushy tail. That an elephant is a big trunk. An elephant is a huge tusk. And we're feeling around trying to get our bearings here, but we don't see the whole picture, and we need each other to see the whole picture. Um, and sometimes with the blessing of our lightning fast ability to communicate is that we get the news fast, right? But sometimes we get the news so fast and so narrowly that we're all thinking in this one spot when there's a whole, like you said, a sky over here
Yeah.
we could be looking at. So let's keep curious. My daughter India said that to me once. She goes, Dad, my yoga instructor told me, don't get mad, get curious, and I love that whole idea. Like, hey, let's just think about this. Let's play with it like you would a little set of blocks. And we know life could be a lot more painful than a set of blocks, but it's still some of the same physics apply. So
Big time, big time, big time.
yeah,
Well, Pete, what a treasure to talk to you, and I can't wait to see what you and your brilliant, beautiful band, Chris Walters and Zeb and Miles and Brendan and all y'all are
lucky to
doing
play
incredible work.
with great folks. Maggie this time and Alex Stewart on. We have Emily Nelson, a wonderful cello player from Nashville. So
Wonderful.
and anyway, Jim, we'll have more conversations coming up. But so glad we had a chance to talk. Thanks for taking this time.
Amen, brother. God bless.
Take care.